We are live. What is going on? Let me just turn on a few different things. Set up a thumbnail. Let's go. Let's see this. Change this to... Whoa. Let's go to edit video. Actually, I don't want you guys to see this. This is all the boring stuff on YouTube. Changing photos, testing thumbnails. Not so much the fun stuff. Just change it to this. And I'll make this a live stream too. And why not monetize it while we're here too? Let's turn on monetization. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. No one's here still, which is totally cool. Probably make some matcha, even though it's quite a bit late. It's about 4 p.m. I just posted on my Instagram with my new video on my mastermind, which is really, really cool. I spent a lot of time on this video just because what I realized is that I don't really document as much as I did in a few years ago when I was 2017 vlogging every single day. Yeah, I kind of want to document certain things in my life, and I had a few friends in town and stuff, and we were just all hanging out, and I shot a mini vlog thing, which is actually kind of fun. I haven't done that in forever. So it was a mix of a vlog, kind of a mix of an education thing, and I tried a few techniques for YouTube stuff, and I've been feeling really, really good about the YouTube. Well, not super good about the YouTube because everything is falling. I think part of it is my lack of consistency, my lack of systems, and just the ideas and topics. YouTube these days is a lot more different than it was back in when I first started, and just adapting to those changes, being more mindful about all those things too. That's that. For those who are here, got Armored Ghost, the OG. What is up? How's everyone doing today? This Sunday, actually this week has been a very low productivity week for me. I haven't really done that much on paper, but it's also been really surprisingly high output. I hosted a personal fireside chat for some of my personal friends, my mastermind people. I landed, I think I mentioned it last week, but I landed a major client. I landed Ali Abdal as one of my high ticket sales clients, which, it's funny. I thought I was going to quit the industry and stuff, but right as I was quitting, it kind of found me, and it was the opportunity of a lifetime. I was I can't pass up on that. And then that has been really, really good. I'm trying to scale up the YouTube production and ideas. One of my friends actually met up with Jake Tran, and what he was just sharing, I haven't seen Jake in years, but he's been just the level of production and thought and systems that he has, pretty solid stuff. I know right now for my journey, I'm kind of in the not as productive phase right now, of life. I've just been really, really tired, sleeping all the time, and my output hasn't been as high, even for I've been going jujitsu. I still need to weight lift this week and strength train, but yeah, man, just focusing on the absolute necessary stuff, optimizing my testosterone. I got an egg, almost an eggnog shake over here too, and just sticking to the diet, and that's been really, really good for me. So it's been amazing. I've been also thinking about going back to, since I'm a little bit burnt out. Well, not burnt out. Recently I took this thing called human design, and it just helped me understand myself a lot better, knowing that I'm not a powerhouse of energy, right? Like I go through ebbs and flows, and that's quite natural for me. And rather than try to fight it, it's probably just best to understand the cycle I'm in and wait it out and keep on going. And it doesn't make me like a lazy person or anything like that. That's just who I am. Do you think a person's life develops in 4 to 5 year cycles? Great question. I think like I've heard like different things. That's some really delicious like protein eggnog that I made from like real eggs and shit. But I've heard different things. I heard like life changes in like 7-year increments. When I look at the last 5 years, it's been totally different for me. In numerology, if you're into that woo-woo stuff, they say that pinnacle cycles, I think, happen every 7 years as well. Yeah, and I think like most people, I mean, some people are destined to just like do the same thing every single year after year for decades, and they're really, really happy. But if we notice, like, if I take a look at my friends for a second, like a lot of my friends, like when we were 25 and get out of pharmacy school, I actually met up with all my pharmacy school friends recently. I haven't posted it on my Instagram. I probably will like later today when I go on my walk. But we're all in different places. You know, some of us are still practicing pharmacy. Some of us are no longer practicing pharmacy, like myself. Like I have a friend who's doing a startup right now. All of them have kids. None of us still go, like, very rare that any of us go like clubbing these days. It's kind of very, very old school. Like we don't do that stuff anymore. So it's just really, really interesting. And then I see my younger friends who like love that sort of stuff. Like last week I was hanging out with like, I went to this, I was so busy last week. I went to this Asian networking event called NextGen, Ace NextGen. And there's some people, like this one cool girl I met, her name's like Jasmine. She's like 24 years old, was going out to Omnia. I was like, dude, that used to be me. I don't do that shit anymore. I don't know why. I just like, I don't see a point. Like, and plus like it screws up my sleep and stuff, and not the best, but I think it's natural for our lives to change in 4 to 5 years. And even 4 or 5 years, like from now, I anticipate like me having a family and just like settling down more. I think this is the year that I'm going to be really expanding out into Asia and like exploring a lot. So yeah, I think it's very, very natural. Someone asked, Armor Ghost. I guess it's a one-on-one conversation with me and Armor Ghost. Is it too late to be a programmer? Are the golden years over? You know what? I don't know, since I'm not a programmer myself. But just to entertain the question, and if I were to speculate, I don't know if it's ever too late to learn something new. I think the whole game of AI will switch things up, and it'll be I think the need to like for strategy across all industries are going to be very, very different. You know, like it's not going to be straight like doing like Hello World anymore. We can do that with ChatGPT these days. And so I think it'll disrupt all industries, but I don't think it's too late. I think like if it really interests you and you, I mean, I would always like for me, when I think about is something too late, what does that really mean? And for me, like if I were to answer that question, like if I were to do like, I don't know, medical school, right? Is it too late for me to do medical school? Technically, it's not too late for me to do anything, right? I can always go back to school, but the return on investment, and I use that word kind of reluctantly because investment can mean so many different types of things. I think like the return on investment isn't as good as it was like 5 years ago. But if it's something that I see that I'm going to play in the long term, like a long-term game, then I don't think it's ever too late. Or if it's going to augment, like as I get older too, I don't want to just learn new crap, right? I want to learn things that are going to augment my skills and acts as a catalyst and can create new industries by combining my existing skills already, if that makes sense, right? So yeah, there's gonna be weed called ebbs and flows. Absolutely, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like that already. No more clubbing because too much work and no time. Yeah, I think like clubbing, like I love it. I love like hip hop still. I love music. I love like going out, meeting friends. It's really, really fun. But it doesn't appeal as much to me these days because I realize that it takes so much of my energy, not from like meeting people, but it takes my energy from like staying up all night, really screwing up my circadian rhythm. Bro, I've been just like doing a lot of no illicit drugs, but like a lot of melatonin, and I've been on like Andrew Huberman's testosterone protocol and stuff. And I'm just trying to optimize my performance, not only with my work now because it's my like living now, but also like with things like I care about, like jujitsu and performance and kicking people's ass and shit. That's like really, really fun for me. And I'd take that over a day of like clubbing any day. Not to say I wouldn't indulge it. Like honestly, if it was like a 21 Savage like show or something, I would probably still go and shit. Or if like, I don't know, I've been recently thinking, I don't have any other friends in the area that are really into it, but I really like rappers and stuff, and I know Gucci Mane and a lot of people like go to Dre's at night, and I love Dre's. It's really, really fun. And these people are getting older. I'm like, oh shit, well I get to see them, you know? I remember when, I think I saw a name like a while ago, I think his name was yeah, like Shawty Low and stuff, like the ATL rapper. Like I really liked him back in the day, but you know, people die, people disappear. He passed away the year I went to Atlanta, surprisingly. So there's that. Taylor Million says, yo, Big Daddy Kev, give me your whip rev. How you doing, Brosephine? Good to see you live streaming. Great seeing you too, Taylor. It's been a while. Yeah, this channel has not been like doing that well. Like I think like monetizing wise, it's been doing decent, like just from my affiliates and stuff. But like from an engagement point of view, it's just so low. And I'm trying to figure out why. Maybe it's like the setup of my channel. Maybe I need to create a new channel. Like there's a lot of different things on my mind. I think a lot of the work on this channel, I put in a lot of work on this channel, so I'd rather not start new. But I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about starting a new niche channel and stuff like that. It seems like one of the fastest ways to grow. But I'm also over kind of like growing just for growing, you know, the vanity metrics. Like why? At the end of the day, what's the point, you know? And so I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm meeting up with my YouTube friend like probably later this month. Gonna be talking to him and just taking notes on like new popular YouTube formats. I really think the core issue might be like my existing audience hasn't really grown with me, right? So like my trajectory of like doing pharmacy school stuff back in the day is not the same as the stuff that I'm interested in today, you know? And so that's no one's fault. That's just the way it is, you know? Oh man, this matcha is pretty decent, but I put too much water. Fuck. What are the top 5 or so qualities you must have in a waifu? I really like your questions, Armor Ghost. Let's see, top 5. I think something that, like, I don't know, it's like these aren't hard rules, right? Like I'm gonna skip all the ones that are like, oh, she has to be kind and all that sort of stuff. But I think like some of the things that I think about these days are like energy a lot, because I'm becoming a lot more spiritual and stuff, and thinking about like the masculine and feminine energy dynamics and why relationships break apart. And I find that like just talking to my friends, like I haven't talked to in a while, and hearing about their marriages and stuff, man, there's a lot of stuff that you just don't hear because people don't talk about it, right? And I think one of the biggest problems I see, like outside looking in with my friends, is like the energy dynamic of the masculine feminine is no longer there. So like I think a lot of the problems that could be solved in a lot of marriages and couples relationships, and even my previous ones too, was probably like taking that masculine and feminine work very, very seriously. So for me, I would probably be reading like Way of the Superior Man a lot more, understanding the female like feminine energy dynamic, where like a lot of guys are just like, oh yeah, they're nagging at us, but what being able to read the communication behind that. And so like I think one of the things that people, I know I'm going like airy fairy, but like I think the biggest difference between masculine communication and feminine communication is explicit implicit communication. So meaning like when people like when guys say like I feel like I have to read her mind, right? That's like the implicit communication from the feminine. And us guys were more like, oh, do this, say what you're thinking, right? And I think those energy dynamics would be like resolved. So the first thing I think about is like someone who's actually interested in kind of like mindful communication, things like spirituality, things like the stuff that I'm into now, because there's a lot of shared values across that, right? I mean, it's cool if we both do jiu-jitsu. That's always really, really fun. There's like all these other things, but I think like the communication has to be there. And I don't know, maybe it's like the intuition part. To be honest, I haven't given it too much thought, because I think when I was a lot younger, I used to always come in with these assumptions like, oh yeah, I want an ABG, I want this, I want that, you know, like, but didn't end up turning out that way for me, you know? And I think it's fine, you know, like that's the beauty of life. Sometimes like as much as we want certain things, like I learned to kind of be very open to nature's gift for me too. It's also my human design thing where it's like, I'm a projector, so I have to like wait for the invitation a lot of times, you know, versus like seeking it out. And so I just follow my intuition and just go from there. Channel improvement, e-thoughts. Oh my god. So I've been speaking about e-thoughts. I've been watching those like dating channels too and stuff, like Fit and Fresh and like those e-dating sup Caitlins like things and all that. Maybe some Jason the Weenie too. Just the new creators, right? Because it's like important to stay updated to know what's happening, and some of their stuff is just really, really fun to watch. Not gonna lie, the e-dates. They get so many views, but I really do think like compared to my generation, you know, like of like AZN Avenue and Zanga and like my generation, I definitely feel like everything's like super, super sexually charged, sexualized. Something I've been trying to quit recently is like things like porn and stuff, and it's so addicting. And I can't imagine someone who is like, how hard it must be for this new generation, especially with things like OnlyFans and all that sort of stuff. It's really, really difficult, right? And I've also noticed some other trends with like the newer generation where like everything has to be very, very quick, you know, like maybe Alex Hormozy is right. Maybe that the demand for human consumption, like the market demand for really quality content has just gone up, right? That's one aspect. But on the other side too, like I definitely do see a decrease. From what it seems like there's a decreased attention span for most people, right? Even including myself, right? I think with the evolution of short form content, like I find myself craving short form content sometimes just because it's quick. It's a quick dopamine hit. But I see problems, especially in relationships, like with my friends, where they're so addicted to their phone, where they keep on like scrolling. They're having dinner together. They're supposed to be having an intimate moment, but they're addicted to the content and they keep on scrolling, swiping and all that. Like everything is swiping, scrolling. Like we look at all these dating apps and all these like other things that are happening in our lives, and it's so like such a dopamine hit. And I can't help but think that maybe there's a bigger problem here. Maybe it's that we're addicted to cheap dopamine. I really do believe that stuff is very, very real. I'm still a fan of your channel. I think you're smart. I like hearing what you have to say. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, Taylor. Yeah, like I think like the topics I probably want to stick with are like, you know, topics I'm really into. Like I'm really into inner work these days, and a lot of my top level friends, like I met Michelle Fan probably like 2 weeks ago. I met the owner of Seven Leaves like 2 weeks ago. I'm actually like gonna see like not Michelle Fan. I don't know her like that, but the Seven Leaves owner, who's also really good friends with Michelle Fan, like we're gonna meet up, but like we're all into inner work. So that's like something that I'm really passionate about. I'm really into lifestyle design, which is just like kind of like productivity, kind of like structuring your day for success and stuff. And not only success and getting things done, but for a deeper level thing. It's like for deeper level fulfillment and satisfaction, right? And then starting an online creator business. This is where I can talk about like stuff that I really like I can talk about like a bit of the high ticket sales psychology. I can talk about offer creation. I can talk about like content marketing. Those are 3 areas that I really like, and I've been playing around with it on Twitter and LinkedIn. I haven't been so disciplined recently, but normally I'm way better at that. But yeah, it's like that is the shit I want to talk about, and maybe it's time to start a new channel. Could be. Like one of my friends, she started a new channel, and in less than a year she blew up. She's probably gonna surpass me very soon. I see this trend of all these smaller channels blowing up, and it's just like the YouTube algorithm sometimes. Like I don't want to blame it, but it follows the audience, right? And so if my audience is like really into like, oh, Mr. Beast, like blah blah blah, I stayed underground for like 100 hours. I mean, that's cool and all, but like that's not the shit I really value. And I honestly view that as like junk food, trash TV. Not to say like my viewing habits are perfect, right? But I tend to watch like either really high level, like I stopped watching gaming videos recently. Like look at my trends. Hold on. I've been listening to a lot of what's that called? JK News a lot, like cuz their content is like so good these days. And then I've been also diving into I've been diving into, let me look at my history really quickly. I just binged the Mortal Kombat like cutscenes and stuff because I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. Let's take a look at my history. How do I see my history? They just changed the YouTube menus. Found it. Okay, so I was watching Healthy Gamer GG, long form content. Been watching a lot of jiu-jitsu stuff. I was binging some Mai Chani stuff, some old school stuff. He's always really funny. I always like admire that old school YouTube saga. I think I was watching a little bit of like I watched some Jimmy Zhang and like that the Under Influence podcast sometimes. Not too much because some of it is like fuckboy stuff and I'm just like not a huge fan of it anymore. I've been watching Life of Riza a lot. That's pretty cool. What else is on my history? It's been very skewed, and I have a lot of like, I listen to a lot of Tim De La Ghetto and stuff, and David So. And what are some other content that I watch too? I watched a lot of Lex Friedman. I was watching the Jiu-Jitsu podcasts and stuff. El Segundo is pretty good too, like by Craig Jones and stuff. But there's some shorter form content that I watch too, but that's kind of like, oh yeah, I have like a whole bunch of Jersey Shore stuff that I really like. So yeah, like I'm interested in a lot of different things, right? Like you see books, like you kind of understand my vibe if you follow me and stuff. Who else is in here? I see 3 people total. Wow, that's such a low turnout, but it's all good. People got their lives. People probably are having kids these days. Let's go back into the comments. Nomad scrolling beats meeting Kevin live in the flesh, I think you mean. It's cool. Like it's actually one of my favorite things to just meet people up IRL. There's something so visceral about like, there's something so cool about like the human physical connection with people, like when you meet them in real life. And yeah, I just really love that, you know. One of my friends who I actually met through this YouTube channel, yeah, like we've probably seen each other 3 or 4 times I think in real life, but we haven't seen each other for the last 3 years, and it was just really nice just seeing her again. And there's something that's just really cool, just spending time together. People are social animals. Physical reality will always have quality. Technology can never replace. Maybe with Star Trek level technology, you can get really, really close though. Yeah, it's so true. And that's why like I really do believe in like this next generation of like masterminds, in real life masterminds, like in real life podcasts, like meetups and stuff. I think that is really, really cool. And I want to get into, I don't want to be an event planner. I don't think that's my strength per se, but I think like just hosting events, like this last Friday, I hosted a event with all my personal friends, my mastermind people, and like just cool people I met. We were talking about human design for a bit, but then I just like did an air meet and we were just all hanging out, doing speed dating, I guess, like, but for friends and stuff. And people are feeling more lonely than ever. So yeah. Tickets to the Kevin Yee convention start at what price? You know what's really funny? I've been thinking about like seeing my friends doing public speaking and stuff, and I'm like, man, I could probably do something similar. I definitely notice though, when I'm around my friend like Mike Kim, for example, I'm definitely not as a polished speaker as like he is and a lot of my other friends, right? Some of my friends are really, really, really good at public speaking. And like for me, I'm definitely not as polished. I mean, it might somewhat seem like I'm polished because like of my edits through like this YouTube channel, but really in reality, I'm not that polished. I didn't know Kevo watched MK. I did the same. Watch cutscenes. So many games I haven't kept up with. Yeah, those are like the childhood games I grew up with, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. I'm a sucker for storytelling. So if you have like a really, really good story, I get immersed into it, and I watch it as like the viewer, like a viewer perspective, and I'll watch it from like an artist, creator perspective too. I'm just like, how do I get so immersed? How can I create more like twists? I was actually watching this this is also what I've been watching recently. I was watching Creator Science. He's this like YouTuber who does these podcasts like type of things and stuff like that, and he was interviewing like Jenny Hyros or something. I can't remember her name, but she's a big like, she does a lot of food content and stuff. Not my cup of tea, like in terms of the type of content I watch, but she was breaking down how she's been able to go viral just through shorts, and he was breaking down her steps. It was really, really great. But like, I'm thinking about these days, how can I make my topics a little bit more interesting and just have like a bit of twist with each video? By the way, I see a whole jump of new people in here. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. As I promised, I'm trying to do this a bit more just so that we can keep the level of intimacy up. Cheers, guys. Bam. Feel free to join in the conversation, drop some comments, maybe drop a like if you want, and all that. But yeah, we're just like chilling out, hanging out. I still never played StarCraft 2. Looked so good. Yeah, StarCraft 2 is pretty good. I never played it personally, but I love watching gameplay. Even what I find is, even though like I'm not like a master chef, like great example is actually Iron Chef. I'm not like a masterful chef. I'm not really amazing at cooking. And even MMA, like, I don't really practice MMA. I do jiu-jitsu. I'm planning to start Muay Thai and like yoga and all this sort of stuff too. But like, man, like there's something about watching people at the highest levels do their craft that's so mesmerizing. And I don't know, there's something that fascinates me about that. Same goes with StarCraft 2, like seeing the APM. Like, if you guys don't know what APM is like when it's how fast they click the buttons and stuff like that. And some of them are crazy. Fairy Wibe says, hey, hi, what's going on? What men's spaces can you think of today? Men's spaces. Are you talking about like masculine like men's spaces? Other than like other like straight up men retreats, male retreats, like there's not too many. And I feel like there is quite a bit of attack on masculinity sometimes, right? But like even within my friends, like sometimes we have a guys' night out and we just talk about certain things. My friends have hosted those things, but also things like jiu-jitsu, right? It's not totally male dominated, but it's like there's a lot of men around, and like we just talk about life sometimes, you know. And I think like those are some really, really great places to meet other men. And I think it's important, you know, to be around other men, because as guys, like not all of us talk about the shit that we're actually going through in life. And that's okay, right? Because I mean, I've had it too happen to me before. It's like I talk about my feelings with someone I like, or a female or something like that. And then they just judge you differently, because I think sometimes like we're looked at to be the anchor, right? We can't just open up like that. And that's the hard part. Like I've experienced this personally, like women want us to open up sometimes, but then like when we do, they look at us weird, or like they treat us differently, or the desire is like gone. And it's tough. Like I'm sure a lot of men have like faced that. Let me ask you, like, it's not all women, by the way, but I've definitely noticed that, especially in my personal life. Ferry says, have you ever dealt with conflict with family? Why does it seem so impossible to work through? Ferry, why don't you shoot me like some more context? What's going on with you? But in terms of conflict with my family, absolutely. It's so hard. Like, I mean, I'm not sure how long you've been following me, but for years and years and years, I used to have fights with my my dad. Like, we never really had a great relationship growing up. And we actually, before the end of his life, I didn't know it, but I had an opportunity to like fix everything and make amends with my dad. Even with my mom, like she's the nicest person ever, but she still bugs me sometimes. I get irritated. It's just the way I am sometimes, right? Like no one's perfect, right? I think like conflict happens, it's necessary. Like there's a checks and balances with family. And I think the hard part, but the beautiful thing about most family, not all times, I've seen actually within my family, there's like a split. My family has not gotten along well with each other. I'm kind of like, I get along with most people. Like there isn't anyone that I really like, oh, that person is like the worst person on earth. Like definitely have our differences, right? Because we're all from different parts of the world, different experiences. But I think that's where mindful communication comes into play, where it's like, hey, you know, I thought it like, I really value our, like when I was talking to my dad, for example, like I wasn't happy that we had such a relationship full of tension, and it's just this weird like tension that shouldn't be there, right? Like, and so one day I remember I came back from this like freaking woo EQ conference here in Vegas before I moved here, and I had this like third eye experience where it goes all white and stuff like that. It was really, really crazy. We're doing like breath work and shit. Never did it before. That was my first time. After the thing, I was like, I just felt this need to repair my relationship with my dad. And so I called my dad right after, and I was like, hey dad, this is gonna sound really, really awkward. And I mean, I don't think we have to like, I think you definitely agree with me. There's definitely some tension. I don't care what has happened in the past. All I know is like going forward, I just want to have a better relationship with you. And I was wondering if you were open to doing the same. And I think like by doing something like that, what I did was almost like an accusation audit, where it's like you say all the weird things that they might say, like, oh, that's really out of the blue. So you say, this might be really, really out of the blue. This might sound really, really awkward. But I felt like it was very, very important for me to get this out. So I do like a lot of that intention setting, because sometimes people get mixed up with the intention of why you're telling them certain things. But great thing about family is that they're not going to be like certain friends who just like ditch you and just don't want to, who just ghost you, or maybe a partner that you're like finding on Tinder or something like that. Like people, it just like most time family will listen to you, stick it out. They might not agree with you, but you can work things out. And just realize, like, I think the important thing to realize is that everybody has autonomy They can make whatever choices what they want, and my goal is never to change people's minds. It's only to provide alternative perspectives, and if they want to change, they change, right? For example, like my brother, like he's been gaining a lot of weight recently, and it's like people are like talk to him and stuff, and like for me it's like it's not my responsibility to like I can't do the workouts for him. And of course I talk to him, and like I set the intention of like, you're my brother, I would hate to see you gone before 40, but you're headed on that path, and so like let me know how can I best put support if you even want support. If you're happy the way you are, keep it, but just know that there's consequences, right? Health consequences, relationship consequences, there's always consequences for that. And it's just like, it's not, and I told my brother, I'm like, it's not my job to change you. I'm not dad. I like, you're a grown adult. You can make your own decisions now. I think something about that is just very, very empowering, especially with family. Armago says, I bet most people do. Disagreements, and bad communications are usually core issues. Yeah, disagreements are like, I think it's a lack of empathy. I don't think disagreement is the core issue, but I think it's honestly a lack of empathy for people, like just trying to see like where someone is coming before like making a recommendation or telling them what they should do. Oftentimes, I mean, how many times have you personally gone through this where it's like, oh, like someone's having a problem, and then you just give advice, and then they're like, I already tried that, and all of a sudden they feel like they're not being listened to. Or how many times have you been on the opposite side of that? So like it's this empathy, and it's like, oh, help me understand where you're coming from. I would love to hear kind of your perspective about that, and just letting people like, this is what it means to hold space, really to empathize, you skipped my comment. Oh well, I don't see another comment. Maybe I thought I don't see any of your comments, man. I think like maybe it got caught in the YouTube algorithm thing, so I have to check it manually. I'm just using this app. Also, how do you deal with having to be creative for your work if you're not always J? I don't know what J means. Sorry. A good headspace. It blocks my creativity. Yeah. How do you deal with having to be creative for work? I think like honestly, like for me, creative process is different for everyone. And I think a lot of the times like doing something like human design will help you understand your energy patterns a lot more. So like for me, my energy patterns for human design is like, it's like on off. It's not like on 24/7. I'm not meant to be like a hustler. I'm meant to like work really hard, take a step back, observe. And so for me, like, since that's my like type, that's my that's kind of like my energy cycles, I use that. Like there's times where I'm super motivated. I double down during those times, right? And then during the times I'm not so inspired, I will like look for inspiration from like just like Still Like an Artist, right? He talks about like going through like content and getting inspired by that. And I think like I do that and just add a lot of space too, right? I think the thing about like creative work sometimes, or creating YouTube videos at times, is like not all your ideas will be good, and you won't always get consistent good ideas, right? And it's okay. I think I call it creative constipation when you put so much pressure on yourself that if it actually prevents you from getting good ideas. So like relax, go on a walk. Like that's why I think these things like going on walks, getting a massage, stretching for a bit, like doing those 30-minute stretching things, or yoga nidra, like all these things that are meant to relax us is really the key to creativity. That's what I'm finding. But I'm not like a hardcore artist, because like some of my friends, they're hardcore like artists, right? Like they're super hardcore artists. They like one of my friends in my mastermind, her name's Seaman, and like she does these temporary tattoos and stuff. You might have seen her stuff on TikTok or Instagram, because it's gone super viral. But she is a true artist, right? but like that is like my creative process a lot of the time. I have swipe files and all that, inspiration boards. I think that's all important. I remember seeing your video about your dad. I had I think I lost the rest of the comment, but I remember seeing the video about your dad. Yeah, like that video with my dad has, like, I took one of the videos down because it was promoting Danlock stuff and I didn't really feel aligned to that anymore, and I don't want to like send in more traffic there. But that story I like documented, I was gonna say crafted, but really I documented it. There was something like, I don't know, so visceral about that like experience because everything was happening at once. And yeah, I still look back at those times, you know, like my 30s were like some of the hardest years. It's like the rebuilding, the phoenix story of losing everything and just coming from the ashes and trying to make things work. And I think like these days I'm in a much better place. I feel a lot more calm. I've learned a lot of new skills and all these different things. But yeah, like it has not been easy. Like I was talking on a podcast and just retelling that story. And I used to be like, oh, my dad died, like work fired me, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I really do feel like it was divine intervention, because I don't think I would have made a move if it wasn't for those things happening. Like for those major moments where you get your dream job and then you're just realizing that you're not going to be happy with it. That's a major decision I made to leave that. Or like when you go through the existential crisis of like losing your dad, but then you feel like you're going to lose your mom because like some serious health thing pops up that was unexpected. And it's like going through those things and then losing one of your biggest supporters, like my ex at the time. That was really, really difficult, just absorbing all that. I don't blame my ex or any of those people that did what they did. They did what they did because they felt like in the heart to hearts it was probably the right decision. Or maybe some of these people are fucking scumbags. Like I believe my old boss, he's a fucking piece of shit to this day. But it's okay, you know, like it doesn't matter what I think. What happened, right? And I have the power to change the meaning of those stories and recraft how that story is told. So yeah, this is a really earnest and helpful response. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're welcome. I think I'm losing some of the comments. By the way, if you guys are tuning in, drop by and say hi. Say something in the comments too. Let me go on to, so if I'm losing some of your comments, let me go on to the actual like catch up and chill like thing, and maybe I can see if YouTube filter out stuff. I don't, yeah, I don't see any comments that or have been skipped over. Cool. We got a terrorist Dewberry. What's going on? Sup? Long time no talk. Hey, great to have you back here. It's always really, really nice just having like people come through like I haven't seen in a long time. I know that there's like, you know, that's the one thing about like this channel, right? It's documented so much of my life and so many different paths, like my pharmacy journey, my journey at living at the JK house, my days living in LA, my days now living here in Vegas. It's really beautiful. Like some people have coming on, you know, off my channel, and that's okay. Like I don't, you know, things change, interests change, people change, right? It's like a friendship that no longer serves sometimes, and that's okay, right? It might hurt in the moment, right? Like just from the ego part, like, oh, not good enough, but things change sometimes. But the beautiful thing is when I see an old name that pops up that I remember that used to come to this channel all the time, there's something just so magical about it. And yeah, like I think the JK Just Kidding News was talking about it, right? Like there's some diehard people that have been here for like multiple years now and stuff. It's pretty cool. I live in Monterey Park right now for 2 years. Yes, the same city when the shooting happened. Yeah. Monterey Park is actually really, really nice. Yeah, it was unfortunate that thing happened, but I used to live in Rosemead back in the day, but right before I moved to Las Vegas, and I used to love living in 626 for a bit. Used to love living in K-Town for a bit. There's aspects of me that I really miss living in California, especially for the networking and like for my friends and stuff. But then there's aspects that I don't really love too. I feel like there's a lot of craziness in California. The magic of California isn't where it was like maybe 3 years ago and 10 years ago and stuff when I first moved there. Let's see. Fairy asks, while she's saying meals, I gotta drink this. I made this, by the way, before I answer your question, Fairy. I have this like Boba Fett like shaker, but yeah, I've been drinking like this has been majority of my meals recently. I don't do necessarily one meal a day, but I try to cram it in a very short window. Man, that's really, really good. So if I were to go, actually, maybe I can open my MyFitnessPal. Let's see. Let's like kind of do this without like doxing myself. I'll show you my meals because I was planning it. I'm not sure if it's synced to this account. Let me see. Oh, it's not synced to the account. Maybe I can find a similar meal. So this is like one of my meals right now. Yeah, this is one of my meals. So this is my MyFitnessPal. And I typically like eating later in the day, like not too late before sleep because it'll disrupt sleep. But I've been doing a lot of like protein powders. Like, so I have one shake that's a protein powder. I make this, and the whipping cream. I eat eggs. Yeah, believe it or not. And I make that into like a eggnog type of thing. So I have some cinnamon, some vanilla extract, like some real, not imitation, real vanilla extract. And just blend it all together, and it's quite tasty. So I added back dairy into my diet, and then I've been doing these like grass-fed beef patties from Costco, which are really, really great macros and stuff like that too. Maybe like I should probably be eating a little bit more, but honestly, like these days I'm just trying to eat for simplicity. It's just really, really easy, just throwing like things in the air fryer and doing all that. But I could probably eat all that in one meal. I'm trying not to drink so much of my meals because I do feel this like, what's the word, unsatisfied sometimes, or satiated, not unsatiated sometimes. But yeah, my man, it still doesn't post my comments. That fucking sucks, dude. I'm sorry. If you want to text me on Instagram, you can do that. I'll read it out, man. And let's keep the music going. Hold on. Let me play this again. I need to change up this playlist. Keeps on doing the same one over and over and over again. Fairy says, I was a fan of you. Came from JK. I remember your videos with Joe and regularly read Refugee Hustle. Still check it occasionally. Oh, I appreciate that. I've been updating it recently. And stuff. I haven't been writing as much intimate stuff on Refugee Hustle. I feel like as I get older too, like it's not like I want all my stuff out there online. I want to have some sort of personal life these days, you know, and especially with friends. Like I've been more mindful about like posting what I do about friends. But yeah, I miss writing like a lot. I have a personal blog that I keep like away from like the viewers and stuff like that. Like it's all personal. I do want to share more, but yeah, I've been reposting some of my my blogs, like my newsletters, into Refugee Hustle too. So I started posting more frequently on it. So interesting what you eat. Some insane discipline. I don't think it's insane discipline. I think like when I think about Bart, that guy has insane discipline. Like for me, I just try to keep things like super simple these days, because I know if I complicate too much, I start like my eyes start wandering, and I'm just like, oh, maybe I can squeeze in and out instead of this meal, right? But every single morning, what I've been doing is just like prepping all my shakes, like with the blender and stuff, prepping all my protein. I'll have all my protein before like I actually eat. I'll eat some sauerkraut and stuff too. Like there's some vegetables in there, but like I just don't log it because it's not as like, they're like very like low calories. Maybe if I was like super stringent, I would like log that, but things like sauerkraut, what, 5 calories, 10 calories, it's very low calories. So and most of it is fiber. So I do have some like calories. I do take some apple cider vinegar. I do have like supplements and stuff like that, but that's what you're not seeing on the vlog too. What do you expect for 2024? Great question. I don't know. We're living in a very weird time right now. Like there's like the whole Ukraine thing, there's the whole Israel Gaza thing happening. There's a lot of instability with like, there's a lot of inflation going with the economy, and then there's an election year. I hate to say it, but I think there's a lot of doom and gloom along the horizon. And I think a lot of it is actually, believe it or not, like I feel like a lot of it, there's like a lot of people are just doing things for profit. And I think like as a general public, we're able to kind of see past that. Like trust for the overall media is down more than ever. I don't think anyone's happy with like the current leadership in the US, you know, like truly happy. You know, they're just like, oh, that's all we have, you know, and I'll vote for this person. But no one's like truly happy. And I think like we just need some sort of strong leadership and strong vision. And it doesn't even have to be with the government, honestly. I think like for even in our personal lives, like role models, people that we look up to. And that's something I'm always trying to surround myself, like especially in the business world. Like I try to surround myself into these masterminds with people who are way older than me, way smarter than me, people way more successful than me. Even if they're younger, like I'll still do it too. Like I don't let the ego get in the way. I really don't care, you know? And I think like finding direction and passion is going to be more than, it's going to be more important than ever. And I think society in general is just waking up. There's like a lot more people are into spirituality these days. A lot more people are waking up that the government and stuff, they're not going to take care of your ass. They don't give a fuck about you. They spend all your hardworking money on what benefits them, not you. So it's just really interesting. Love me some In-N-Out. Can you give me some tips on how to stay consistent with YouTube? So here's the thing. I'm not the most consistent on YouTube, but I was consistent for a long time. And something that Ali Abdaal always talks about is like, I'll talk about Ali Abdaal. I actually landed him as a client recently for high ticket sales. So remind me to get that. I'll read your comment next, Max. But in terms of being consistent on YouTube, something that Ali Abdaal says all the time is like reducing the friction. And so how do you reduce the friction of like producing a video? Because if you're stripped down a video to its essential core, and some of these videos go super viral. Like I've had videos like where I was just talking to camera and it went super viral. So what does that tell you? The algorithm has changed, by the way, too, right? But it tells you that topic matters more than anything, right? And all it really takes is just to turn on a camera and just talk to it, right? And then hit publish. That's literally the MVP. No thumbnail, no nothing. Okay, if we want to do a better version of that, like but that's how you can be consistent on YouTube. But the better question is like, okay, to what standard, right? Because if I were to be consistent with a Mr. Beast all the time, that's going to be insanely harder, right? And you're going to have like better systems, better people, better processes, better tools, all that sort of stuff, right? And so the real question is like, to what standard do you want to be consistent with? And why is something like being consistent even important to begin with? Is it important? And my argument to that would be like, not necessarily, right? There's people like with 1, 2, 3, like, of course you need a certain amount of videos where people just recognize things and just like, oh, that's a Kevin Yee video. That's a Ali Abdaal video. That's a Johnny Harris video, right? There's a certain amount, but I think the quality matters way, way more, right? Because more than ever, people are trying to upload on YouTube and it just gets lost. And so one video that's doing really, really well for me right now, hasn't gone insanely viral, but I do feel like it will go pretty viral, is actually that 3-hour high ticket closing course I gave out for free. I did from start to finish. That took me a few months to do, but was so worth it. Not financially, honestly, like financially hasn't really paid off, but just the equity, like, and the clients I'm getting and the messages I'm getting, it's just like so amazing. So that's like my tips. Like, does consistency even matter, right? I think quality matters. But if you want to be consistent, to what degree of quality do you want to be consistent with too? So yeah, I launched a creator mastermind. I actually released a new video today on me launching a creator mastermind too. And yeah, these are all problems that we all of us go through. For me, like right now, I'm having a lot of trouble being consistent because like I don't have the systems and everything's too reliant on me. And so I'm actually looking for editors, thumbnail designers, especially with the increased revenue I'm getting with this from this new client too. But yeah, came to your channel thanks to your review on Part-Time YouTuber course by Ali Abdaal. Now, after many months, what do you think about the course? That's a great question, Max. I'm biased, by the way, because like Ali is one of my clients now. And fun fact, if anyone takes the accelerator or applies to accelerator, they can talk to me, and I just like help advise people whether they should do the accelerator or not. It's like closing, I guess, but if you know me, like I don't tell people what to do. I let people decide what they want to do and just provide different perspectives. One thing I like about Ali is like he's very non-salesy, non-pushy about everything. He cares more about brand integrity than like pushing a sale. So yeah, I think like let me go over the pros and cons of part-time PTYA, not the accelerator, but just like PTYA in general. From my point of view, just going through the iterations, I think some of the major pros are like the events he's held in the past with bigger YouTubers. Like how often do you get to like have like someone like Johnny Harris on your like on a Zoom call? Very, very freaking rarely, right? And the level caliber of the people in there are just like so many cool people. I actually got, you know what's funny? I actually had a client who reached out to me there. I got burned by that person. So not everyone's like amazing, but like in general, like 95% of the time, some of my best friends I met on there, right? So I think that's like the powerful part. In terms of course content, I think in terms of thinking about processes and synthesizing new ideas, I think it gives you a great baseline on like how to run a YouTube channel, like SOP wise. But the creativity part of being a YouTuber, like I don't think that Ali really talks about it. But then like again, Ali Abdaal is not the most creative like YouTuber out there either, right? When I look at Johnny Harris's videos and Ali Abdaal's, like it's very, very different. I think one thing that Ali has done very, very well is like built a personal brand. Like there's not one video I think about with Ali Abdaal, maybe his iPad videos and all that. It's like nothing really. But I think like the ability to build a brand is like really, really cool. So yeah, that's like my thoughts on Ali Abdaal. I would say the cons of PTYA is like it's almost too overwhelming, like for beginners sometimes, because it gives you so much, because there's so many nuances with doing YouTube, starting a YouTube channel. I think another thing too is like the creativity aspect. It's a great baseline, but you can't stay there. You have to innovate. There has to be a level of innovation somewhere else. And then this isn't con, but this is a pro. There's just like so much support that Ali invests into PTYA is really, really ridiculous. There's a whole client success team, which I was a part of at one point. There's like a lot of other like that network of PTYA people like is really, really solid and really strong too. So I'm so grateful for it. And there's like so many SOPs, standard operating procedures, like documenting each step in Notion boards, Notion templates. That stuff is really, really solid. Highly recommend too. So yeah. Do I have an opinion on Israel-Palestine conflict? Have you seen any of Piers Morgan's interviews on the topic? I have not seen it. I'll give you like my brief stance, like me, I'm like always a centrist, right? And I do realize that like I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I always think about like stories, narratives can always be manipulated, right? And I think in general, right, could it be like some people like on the Palestinian side, people argue that they're being like the people in Gaza are being oppressed, right? And the Israel has been building off like the building onto the land, right? And kind of like choking these people off, right? And it almost feels like not slavery, but I can't think of the word. But those are some of the arguments, right? And on the other side too, it's like you see videos of like the music rave and stuff, and the shootings there, and it's just really, really crazy. And by the way, I preface that I'm not an expert on this, but I think those two things can both be true, right? Like, should you be unalive? I'm going to use the word unalive so I don't get demonetized. Is it right to unalive children and like festival goers, innocent people? I don't think that's right. Like I think that's like horrible, right? But also on the other side, could it be true that that like the people in Palestine are being oppressed too? Could be true, right? And so I think the thing is like, okay, how we're gonna resolve this? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just a guy in fucking Vegas, like talking to a camera right now. But I think like the person that I heard that with the best like logic about it is Firas Zahabi, and he was saying like he's like so against Jordan Peterson's like stance of like inciting violence and stuff. Firas Zahabi, he's GSP's coach, former coach, and he's also big into philosophy. He's also a Muslim and stuff. And so like his stance was really, really interesting. It's like we have to do it for the future generations, come to the peace table and stuff like that, and like come with the intent of peace. But I don't know. That's like how I kind of look at things. Like I think like there's both things that could be said from either side, and as soon as we take but it's really interesting seeing how people are reacting to it. It's usually an all or nothing type of thing, and as soon as we go once into our survival state where like we shut off empathy, there's no good outcome that's going to come out of it. We always have to have some level of like, wait, so help me understand your side, and just from a non-judgmental place too. So that's like kind of my thoughts about that, Ferry. So would you say that to enter a course, it's best to go when you have 10K subscribers, or is it going to be too overwhelming? It's not. So Max, it's not circumstantial based off of like your 10K subscribers. There's all sorts of levels for PTYA. It really comes up to the problem that you're looking to solve, right? And so when I think about like investing myself like into PTYA or any other programs I've done, I'm trying to ask myself, what is the core problem that I'm really, really trying to solve here? And a lot of times it's like I'm trying to build better, like if I'm working with Ali, like it's to build better SOPs, right? He has his systems down, he's hired the right people, and he's able to just pump out content over and over and over again, and which helps with consistency, by the way. Whoever, I think Dan the Man talked about consistency. So I think like having that is really, really important. And I think like given the nature of P2YA, it's not the accelerator, but the program, the course itself, it's lifetime. So like I don't think he's going to make, like personally, I don't think he's going to make any more changes anytime soon for that. But I think like it's always worth it if you want to do YouTube, just like to invest into something like that. What's the downside? You don't use it. And if you're not going to use it, then don't invest into it at all. But yeah, like I've always been an avid investor into like learning new skills and stuff, because the faster you can acquire and learn new skills, the faster that you can grow your YouTube channel too and stuff. Even if you completely stuck at it, like it's kind of crazy. Like even with this channel that I have right now, which I feel like is dying, it still makes money. It's really, really crazy with affiliates, like my P2YA affiliate. But actually, I haven't made any P2YA affiliates in a long time, because I don't ever talk about it. But then like, okay, so there's that. And then there's like I have like other affiliates too that are recurring affiliates. And so like by creating that content, even though it's not thriving, it's still making money, right? And I'm still making like I think more than money, it's about friends, social capital, like relationships. How many relationships at scale? Whoa, this was not that good. How many relationships at scale can I build, right? I mean, think about it. Everyone that's here, we don't have a huge audience right now, like at the current moment, but like think about this audience. All you guys came from my content, and I find that so cool. How many opportunities do we have in life where we could like scale our we can make friends, scale our relationships. Some of them can be clients, some of them could be like friends, might be your future spouse and stuff. What the hell is going on with my cameras, dude? It's crazy. All of them are going out of focus. I need the new Panasonic, man. That's my like dream camera, honestly. Cool. Can you give an example of reducing friction? Oh, thanks, Dan the Man. Really appreciate it. And super chat money too. Well, since you just super chatted me, I'm going to leave now. No, just kidding. I appreciate the super chat. So the example of reducing friction. Okay. So an example of reducing friction is actually this dashboard I have right now. What I just did, I can switch my, hold on, let me see if I have anything incriminating. I don't think so. For example, if I want to shoot a video normally, and if I want to do multi-angle, like this camera, side camera, top-down camera, desktop, right? I would literally have to press record, have SD cards, all of them, take out all the SD cards, put it in my computer. But since I have a MacBook Air, everything's done on Air right now. I only have one SD port. So I have to that's a lot of friction, right? If I want to record. But what if I could just turn on all the cameras just are linked to my Alexa or Google, and then I turn everything on, and then with one button I can just hit record and it'll record all the angles onto an SSD, which I can plug in, and I don't have to deal with SD cards, power, all that. That's an example of reducing the friction. I use hardware to reduce the friction. Okay, another example, I actually have, I'm not sure if I have this for sale quite yet. I'm actually working on it right now. Another example is this is an example of this is my personal one, by the way, but I'm going to be probably launching a whole Notion database pretty soon. But for example, I'm going to show this. I don't think anybody's seen this before, but I have a ton of ideas going on all at the same time. Some of these ideas are outdated now, but for example, I have everything here. So these are videos that we're working on right now. I have 5 more. I have a bunch more. These are duplicates, but everything else, actually this should be here. but I have everything like written out, right? Like all my ideas, everything goes here. So whenever I don't have an idea or I'm lost like with an idea, then I can just go here and just look something up. Or if I'm trying to like write something, right? Like this is the stuff I did with PTYA, but obviously I have my own version with it. So let's say I do a test idea, right? And I want to write, and I'm just like, oh, I could do it the normal way, but now I have templates, I have prompts. This is all my backend that you guys don't see, by the way. Hold on, it's taking a while because it's a lot of stuff. Like it's a lot of scripting and stuff. I'll show you one that I already have generated. Has it loaded yet? Nope, still loading. Let me go into one of my recent videos. This is an affiliate video I have to work on. But like it has all this sort of stuff. So it has my scripts, all that. I have a planning template. I have a thumbnail thing. I have thumbnail inspiration somewhere here too. I have like prompts, a ChatGPT prompts where I can get more ideas. I have a checklist. I have a performance review of what I do after. Like there's a lot, right? But I don't have to copy and paste this every single time or keep on different docs. This is an example of reducing the friction using software, right? Like I'm using Notion in this case, right? To make my life a lot easier, to have everything in one place, right? So that's an example of reducing friction. Does that make sense, right? It makes everything easier, right? Or an example, so those are examples of tools and processes, right? The final example is like people, right? Let's say, you guys don't know, but I actually have an editor too. I edit all the low friction content right now. Like I did the creator mastermind content and I've been doing the last few videos, but all my like profitable ones, like that I make money on, like my reviews, that I hand out to an editor. And so when I hand it out to an editor, I don't have to do 90% of the work. Like I don't have to do 95% of the work. I still have to review. I still have to shoot, produce and stuff like that, the B-roll and all that. But that's reducing friction. I free up that time. And now I don't have to worry about it. It's based off someone else. Does that help? Does that help? I know that was like very, like super high level. Some people might not be interested in that shit, and I only see one person left in the chat, so you guys must not like it very much as well. So yeah, does that help? I hope that helps everyone. I'll just stick around for a little bit. So when I reduce the friction of like YouTube, like I usually think about people, processes, tools, and that's how I do it. Ali Abdaal really likes this book a lot. It's called The E-Myth. This book is like really, really good. Makes perfect sense. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the other super chat. Really, really, really appreciate it. Makes perfect sense. I appreciate you. Yeah. Feel free, Dan, if you have any more questions, just like reach out to me on Instagram or something like that too. So, yeah, that's kind of like, and that's where I feel very, very strong about like a creator business, right? Like, and having a mastermind, because we share a lot of these ideas. Like there's a course that, like, there's a few ways to invest, right? There's like courses. I also do like, I hired people for their YouTube strategy consult. So I'll find like a YouTube strategist, I'll hire them. And then the last thing I usually do is like masterminds, and you don't need to pay for one. Like paid ones are always cool, but you can also like grab together creators that you really, really like and just always take their ideas, see what they're doing, and reduce the friction that way too. So, okay. Anyways, that is pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to really talk about. This was super really relaxing for me just to do on a Sunday. Appreciate the super chats. I appreciate everyone just like coming to just hang out with me. I've been just really, really burnt out this whole week, and so this is really, really just nice, just connecting with y'all, chopping up with y'all. You guys can ask me questions, and it's fun. You know, I'm having a lot of fun with it. Content, in my opinion, is like the best investment ever. Yes, monetizing and stuff, like I've made money with power hours, coaching, consulting. But I think like the most valuable thing you can ever do is just like the relationships, because those could be future like partners, your future girlfriend, your future wife. It could be so many different things. And so that is the power of content and just a brand authority, man. I got invited to this like conference by my friend for free, and people were paying like $200-$500 for this thing. I didn't pay anything for it. It's really, really nice. Okay, guys, I appreciate all y'all. If you guys want, I actually just launched a new video today, which you can watch. It's called, what's that called? It's called, I'll link it here, but it's called I Started a YouTube Mastermind. So super simple. Yeah, but I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Peace.